Hello everyone. Let's discuss today on the SDLC. We stand for the Software Development Lifecycle, a foundation for the business analyst. So from that, this video you can understand what are the roles and responsibilities of business analyst in each stage of SDLC and what is the SDLC. Okay. Let's move on the next slide. The agenda of this video is to what give you the brief discussion about what is the SDLC, why is SDLC important for the business analyst, why it is important to understand the business analyst, what is the SDLC and each stage of SDLC. Then key phases of SDLC like the requirement gathering, requirement analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, and the feedback support. Okay, then SDLC models a quick. We are going to look the models like waterfall, agile, V models. Okay, and then challenges and best practice for the business analyst in SDLC, and then we will discuss question and answer. So let's start the sessions. So what is SDLC? A brief overview of SDLC. So the SDLC stand for the software development life cycle. It is a systematic way or it is a structured way to build the software, to do the features or requirements, to complete the requirements and make it the production environment deployable or the user usable. It satisfy the business need. So SDLC is a structure process for developing high quality, cost effective softwares. So there is the systematic way like requirement gathering, requirement analysis, design, development, testing, and then the deployment and the support. So that's the systematic way done by the software development life cycle. It is a framework for planning, creating, testing, deploying information system. It help us to do the systematic way of the requirement, transact the requirement to the user usable requirement. So it ensure the systematic approach for the software development. Okay, an analogy for that, if suppose, let's give you the simple example for the SDLC. If you are going to build a house, okay, so you have the systematic approach. So you define your budget, how much budget you have for that software, and what are your high level requirement, what you want. If you get that thing, so it will be better, and what thing you don't want. So it's in the requirement gathering or planning phase. Then the construction of your building will start, as per your requirement. And finally it will be hand over. You will check, has my requirement it's completed or not, what are the incompleted thing has we are plan while we are going build house. And then you will get the deployment. The contractor will hand over your house to you. Okay, so that's the one of the SDLC we call. It's one of the, it's the development life cycle, house development life cycle. So you can understand in that way what is an SDLC. Let's move on the next slide. So why is SDLC important for BA? Yeah, it's very important. The business analysts understand each stage of the SDLC. Okay, and what are their roles and responsibility in each stage? That's each stage of SDLC. That's most important. So first one is a context understanding. So provide a holistic view of project life cycle. Yeah, it provide the holistic view how the project will go and what are the milestones we are going to achieve in each stage of the SDLC. So that's the importance of SDLC. Then effective requirement. It helps BA gather and manage the requirement at the right time. So we have is if suppose the waterfall methodology or suppose the agile methodology, we have the certain duration for requirement gathering, for requirement analysis, and for the design test case writing, for the testing, UAT testing, and the production deployment. So that give us the sufficient time or the effective ideas when will be the requirement gathering milestone is completed, when will be the design of the requirements milestone will be completed, testing milestone, end user manual milestone will be completed. So that's effective requirement management technique. Then improve the communication. So there is the each stage has the different kinds of communications, requirement gathering communications, design oriented communications, UI UX showing communications, or then the explain the features or function to the development team. That's the communication. So that's the systematic way of communication. Explain the business requirement document or functional requirement document to the quality analyst or the tester, so they can understand. So that's the communication at the particular stage. So it give us when what communication will happen, and it improve the communications. Okay, risk mitigation, yeah, it definitely helps to enable the early identification of potential project risks. Yeah, if we follow the systematic way, like requirement gathering, requirement analysis, design, development, coding, testing, it's the systematic way. Once in, if suppose the more, traditional way, okay, waterfall methodology we use, so we know it's each, once the each stage is completed, then we move in the next stage. Once that is completed, then we will move the next stage. So you know, so that's the important, and that help us. Once the requirement is get freeze, so there is no change or no enhancement in requirement, and that will be mitigate the, you know, scope creep. The continuously adding new requirement, and the budget and the time and the technology will increase. So that's the help from the, you know, risk mitigation things. It ensure the business value, align the software development with core business objectives. Okay, so that's ensure the you know, correct the output for the production environment which we are going to software. So that should be, you know, improve the business value and better decision making. Yeah, we empower the BS to make the informed decision to scope and change the priorities. Yeah, it help us, this help us the business analyst to make the informed decision on a scope and change the priorities, prioritize the requirements with their urgency and importance. So that's the importance of SDLC. So let's discuss the, you know, key roles and responsibility of business analyst in each phase of the is software development life cycle, and they're the key deliverable items that business analyst should deliver to the production team or the business team. So first one is the initiation in the requirement gathering and the requirement analysis technique. So first one is initiation, gathering the information from stakeholder using the different requirement illustration technique like interview, questionnaire, chat session, workshops, group session, brainstorming session, meetings, team meetings, group discussions. Okay, gather all kinds of requirements. So that's the role of business analyst. Then do the documentation. So then creating the detailed functional and non-functional requirement documentation, technical documentation, business requirement documentation like BRD, FSD, use cases, user stories. That document are prepared by the business analyst, or the wireframes and prototype document, change request document. That all the documents prepared by the business analyst in this phase. Then he makes sure validate the document, ensure the requirement are clear, understandable, testable, consist, complete, verifiable, and the developable, or the production environment it should work. So that all things is validated by the business analyst, verify from the development team is, and sort the requirements. Okay, then check with that requirement from the business team. So then analysis, breaking down the complex problem, identify the dependency, and define the scope. Yeah, what are the requirements that are in scope of, and what are the requirements are out scope. Down, define the priorities, what are the important and urgent, so break down them. The set the prioritization of all requirement, sort the requirements, and identify the dependencies of each requirement. Okay, then in that phase, what are the key deliverables of business analyst? So first one is a BRD, which stand for the business requirement document, functional requirement document, use case, user stories, wireframes, prototype, change request document. Okay, so that's are the deliverable in that phase. Let's move on the next slide. So next, a key phase of SDLC is a design. It's important phase. So role of BA, bridge the bridge between the business and technical team. He should be fill the gap between the business team or the technical team, or translate the business requirement into the technical design specification. So developer will do the you know, do the coding on that requirement. So it will convert the business requirement into the technical requirement. So basically BRD, from the business requirement document he write down the functional specification document FSD. Then clarification, provide the ongoing clarification on requirement to designers and architectures. He will help if they face any challenges, designer or architecture, if they have any open point or they face any challenges while doing their work, then business analyst is a key point of contact for them to help them and to understand them to the requirements. And then business analyst or prepare the UIVX like wireframes prototype using the tools like Balsamiq, InVision, Figma, okay, to draw the UML diagrams, to draw the entity relationship diagram. So that's the phase comes in the design. And the key deliverables in the for the BA contribution in the design phase are to review of the system design document SSD, input of UI UX and wireframes and prototypes. So that's these are the key deliverables in that phase. Let's move on the next phase, which one is a development and implementation. So the BA role in that phase is ongoing support. Be available to clarify the requirement of developer. Okay, whenever they face any challenge, developer, I have some open points, how the system should work, related how the development will done. So that related the open points is closed by the business analyst, how the system functionally should work. The change management, manage the change to requirement that arise during the development. Is there any change or is there upgradation in the change which is uh, given by the business team? So that related change management is done by the development team and the business analyst, and immediately update related to that to the development team. So issue resolution, if there is any issue comes, assist comes in the development phase, so that issue resolution is given by the business analyst, assist the resolving ambiguities and relevant to the requirement. Okay, so he helps the development team or all other teams to if they has any issues. And progress monitoring is continuously interacting with the development team. What are the progress of requirement to update the ITM? He continuously interact, is that requirement developed or not, what are that stage, what time you require to complete that the requirement, why you need that much time. Okay, that kind of question the business analyst will ask the development team and understand the development progress in relation to the requirements, correct. And the key deliverables in that phase is the clarify the requirement and update the documentation. He will update the business requirement document, functional requirement document, RTM, if he start preparation, user manual. Accordingly, what the changes come, then update the documents. Let's move on the next slide. It's important testing phase. So role of the business analyst in testing phase, test case review or write down the test cases to update the requirement traceability matrix, review the test case to ensure the full requirement are coverage, like the basic flow, alternative flow, exceptional flow, okay, negative flow, all kind of flow, all kind of scenario should be covered in the test case document. That should be checked by the business analyst. Okay, when user acceptance testing, UAT facilitation, plan, execute and monitor UAT to end users, he should plan. Business analyst should do the plan of user acceptance testing, execute the user acceptance test to test that thing, manage the UAT and end user, and give that document, UAT document, to the end user for the review as the functionalities work correctly. Then defect management, analyze the defect, categorize and prioritize for the business perspective. If there is any defect found in the testing phase, so he will then analyze the defect, in what is that defect should be, how we can eliminate that defect. Is that defect occurs due to the requirement gathering, or the there is a development is incomplete complete, or the development related issue. So he will help to manage that defects. Then data preparation, to do the UAT testing, there is a required to data. So data is required for the inputs for and the process and the outputs. So he will help to the tester or the quality team to data preparation, assist the preparing the test data for various phases. Okay, he will do that thing. Then validate the functionality. He will review and validate is the functionally system will work as a business requirement. Is there any challenges or is there any gap? to update the development team, to verify the solution means define the business requirement. So that's the validation of functionality. And key deliverable in the testing phase like the UAT sign up, defect report, input and test data. So that's are the key deliverables. Let's move on the. So then the last stage and the important stage, the deployment and the maintenance. So BA role in that stage is the user training. So he will be plan, or he will be prepare the end user manual or the user understandable document in the user training phase. He will take the meetings, group meetings, team meeting with the end users, the actual user of the system, and explain them how that features or functions or that requirement or that product is work. Okay, what are the UI UX should look like. So that deliver and developer deliver the training and material to the end users. So that is in the user training. Support the documentation, contribute to user manual and FAQs if they have any challenges, or help to the prepare the end user manual, or he will prepare the user manual to users. The post implementation review, participate in review to assess the deployment success. So he will be the part as a functional or technical guy when the deployment is happening. And after the deployment is done, and then they face any challenges, it should be a technical or the functional challenge, then he will be there to support them and help them related to that challenge. Then the feedback lookup, gather user feedback and the future enhancement to issues. He should get to the end user and take the feedback from them how the system should work. Is that system is satisfied their requirement? Is there any challenges they, is there a chance to improvement the system? So that kind of feedback he's take from the end users. And then prepare the change request, manage and analyze the new change request, initiate the SDLC cycle if there he thinks that is the change request. For that, if we do that requirement or business requirement, then system should increase and user will get better experience. So then he start prepare the change request. Okay, and the key deliverable in this phase is the training material, user guidance, post implementation report. So that's are the key deliverables. Let's move on the next slides. So, which is the popular SDLC models, guys? You should know what are the models in the market for the SDLC. First one is the waterfall. Second one is agile, V model, and the spiral model. So waterfall is a traditional model. It's the old model. So there is the common stage. Okay, like requirement gathering, requirement analysis, design, development, coding, testing, deployment, and the feedback. So that all the phases are the strict. In the certain phases, you should do only that task. We don't move in the other phase. Once phase is completed, then we will move the next phase. Then that is completed, then we will move the next phase. So that is the traditional way of doing the product or the software. And if your requirement is freeze, and once it is not going to changes in the future, so then if you use the waterfall methodology, then the better. But if your requirement is not freeze and there is a continuously requirement is come from the business, and they don't know what we want to build, but they have some ideas. So we use the minimum viable concept, MVP. So in that case we use the agile or the scrum or the kanban technique, SDLC, to develop the software. So it is an iterative way. Continuously we will give the some release to the business, incremental, always add that, release to the final product, flexible, customer focus, and ideal for involving requirement. So there is if incomplete requirement, there is, the business should know, what we want to build, but they have some ideas and some thoughts, and they want build the product on that idea. Once they get checked, then they will give us the feedback, and then the product will build. So in that case, we will agile. Then there is a V model, emphasize verification and validation at all stage. We will do one stage and we will do verification and validation in each stage. Then the spiral model, we should the spiral way. So do the design, requirement gathering, requirement analysis, design, development, coding, testing, feedback, that all things will happen in the spiral way in risk driven combine the elements of waterfall and iterative method, and the BA implications in each model influence how and when the BA operates, and agile require the BA to be more embedded and adaptive. He should be adopted, he should have the knowledge of the product or the function or the methodology. He should understand the scrum very well, how it works, what are the ceremonies in scrum, what is a sprint backlog item, what is a product backlog item, what are the charts, sprint burn down chart, product burn down chart, how it's work. That all things are understandable by business analyst in agile methodology, and it's build the new way of the business analyst techniques. Let's move on the next slide. So, challenges for the business analyst in SDLC. What are the challenges faced by business analyst while he are working in the SDLC and each phases? So there is a scope creep. I already make a video on scope creep. You should go and look at that videos. So managing the uncontrollable changes to the project. If there is a continuously change come from the business team, to manage that requirement change request, to prepare the document for that change requestment is the challenge to the business analyst, and explain that to the development team, understand what are the phase of the development will done on that requirement, and if we give the new requirement to the development, so how much time budget or there is any extension of the delivery date, so that should be understandable by business analyst. And while the requirement gathering, that should be explained to the business at that time. So that's the one of the challenges. Ambiguous requirement, dealing with unclear and conflict stakeholder needs. So there is the a number of stakeholder who are giving to the requirement. The key challenge of business analyst to find out the optimum the stakeholders who are the importance, and their feedbacks are important to the growth of the projects, and to gather from that the stakeholders the requirement, it's also challenging, and deal with that requirement the business the stakeholders. Then the communications gap, the there is always the communication gap between the business team and the development team and the test